Have you wondered which item is better? Is it this one? Is it this one? How about that one? Now, with this calculator, you can actually calculate your stat weights and instantly tell which item is going to be an upgrade or not. And this is how the tool actually looks like. Now, here you will, as you would have guessed, insert all of your character stats, weapon DPS, main stat, and so on and so forth. You get them out of the game, out of your character sheet here under the eye, and below the offensive category, you will have all the stats that you need. Now, they are currently doing it so that they are summing up the all damage, damage versus elite, up until damage with trap, which doesn't really make that much sense, but nonetheless, this is at least a very good indicator to see how your relative values are. And if you would only input your all damage, because that is the only bucket that is multiplicative, then you can actually have a very close to reality result. And therefore, you see my stats here right now. You can see that my relative values are like this. And the amount needed for 1% DPS upgrade that you can see right here. Now, this means that ideally I would focus on the bar that is the smallest. Therefore, I would ideally get the least amount of stats that I would ideally get are 5.05% crit damage or 0.89% crit chance to get 1% DPS. To as a contrast to this, I would need 3.81 vulnerable damage to get 1% DPS upgrade. So it would be way easier to acquire 5.05 crit damage to get 1% DPS upgrade. Also, it would work with 2.51 item levels. Therefore, now I know that I want to prioritize my crit damage or crit chance on the next item that I want to upgrade. And I could also go and take 16.79 main stat, which would also be much easier to get than vulnerable here, because my vulnerable bucket is like this, and the calculator behind the website says crit damage is probably the stat that I should go for the most at the current state, and which is totally right, because my crit damage is actually really low at the moment. I've just hit level 100 on hardcore and haven't really been upgrading the gear yet, which is probably going to come at some point, but I'm focusing more on the videos for the moment. Therefore, I am bringing you this. And what you can also do is you can compare items. So if you are not really sure what weapon is going to be an upgrade, if it's going to be an upgrade, you could input your general character stats here, the item number 1 and the item number 2, and then it's going to tell you which of the items is going to be an upgrade. You can see stats with item 1, stats with item 2. Currently it is the same because I haven't input any data here. So let's say the weapon damage for this one is way better. This one is currently worn, so you can see that I have the stats with item 1 are 53,000 DPS. Let's say I find another weapon with 5k DPS, which is never going to happen, but let's say that would be the case. And now you can compare these and you would see, okay, weapon number 1 or item number 1 gives me this DPS. Item number 2 gives me this DPS. Therefore, item number 2 is better. And this doesn't only work for weapons, but it also works for any other item slots, because you are taking the weapon DPS out of the character sheet. So for example, if I would be calculating for my crossbow, I would be taking the ranged weapon damage. I took the melee weapon damage here. I actually made a typo, which doesn't really matter that much, but you should do that obviously if you're trying to compare this. What you need to keep in mind though is that obviously the weapons that I have equipped are upgraded to 5 out of 5. So when you are comparing an item number 2, which is maybe an upgrade, that won't have the additional 25 item power that your equipped that your equipped item already had, because you were already upgrading it. So keep that in mind. If the damage DPS gain on your second weapon here is not that much, maybe invest like 3 out of 5 into upgrading it at the blacksmith to have a much more easy to compare result there, but definitely something that you have to keep in mind. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.